Firstly, thank you very much for coming to my show.
Thank you for inviting me, sir.
So, I came to know that you are an author, singer, football player, musician, electrician, father, and you have a book in Amazon.
Yes, that's correct.
So, before talking about it, can you please introduce yourself to my audience?
Well, I'm all of those things that you just said, and my name is Eric Antonsen, and I live in Canada. Um, I'm in my 50s now, and just recently, like about 3.5 years ago, I thought it would be a good idea to start writing a book.
So, when you started your career, you said you are a football player. I'm a professional cricket player, so I want to know more about you as a football player.
Well, it was more of a recreational thing at the beginning because it was in my, um, late teens, early 20s. Um, and it's not football like soccer. It's like American football. Um, but I was fast enough. I could catch the ball and all that kind of stuff. I just wasn't tall enough. But I had all the drive and all the desire, but I just wasn't tall enough. So then it moved on to I got an electrical apprenticeship, and I got married shortly thereafter. I'm the proud father of an amazing son who actually did that painting, which is on the cover of my book, Mind's Eye Memories. Um, and then we went on to then my older brother started teaching me how to play guitar, and I fell in love with music, and it kind of enabled me to take all of those stories I used to hear about my family. Um, I'm sure you recall times when your family would gather and for a special feast, right? In North America, Christmas and Thanksgiving are two of the big ones. So during those times, I would hear the oral history of my family. It's like, oh yes, when your grandfather first immigrated to Canada and stuff like this, right? So that's where the storytelling and the oral history being passed down from generation to generation to generation, um, started to happen for me. And when I was taught how to play guitar by my older brother Lorne, um, I suddenly had a vehicle. I suddenly had a vehicle to express all of this stuff inside my head and in my heart and all that stuff. But typically songs only last between 3 minutes and at the most 7 minutes. So I guess the next natural progression was to write a book where I wasn't constrained in time. And I actually heard on Twitter with the Writers Circle, with A.K. William, that it's the best way to tell a story without getting interrupted.
So, you said you are a songwriter. So, when you started writing songs, and what do you know about songs and what you wrote?
Well, 90% of what I know is due to my brother Lorne. Fantastic musician, could pick up a brand new song off the radio before it was even done being played. He'd be sitting there playing with his guitar along with it and go, "Oh yeah, yeah, this is how the song goes. I've got this." And before the song was even done, he'd be like, "Why did he do that? Wouldn't this be much better?" And it sounded better. So I just went, okay, you know what? This guy knows what he's doing. And I just tried to learn as much as I could from him. Um, Also, I grew up in a family very musical. I mean, uh, two of my brothers were in a high school band, and they actually played at the high school instead of having, a DJ come in to play. Their band played live for the dances. um, so I gleaned, I just grabbed a hold of their coattails as hard as I could and let them lead me into music. And of course, that, included the Beatles, and I'm sure you know who the Beatles are. Um, the Eagles, Led Zeppelin, and stuff like that. But I really grabbed onto and have an affinity for the Beatles. So what I really enjoyed about a lot of their music was it told a story. There was a, boy meets girl, boy loses girl, boy gets girl back again, you know, or it's just talking about one of those sections about the heartbreak. Well, in a song, again, it's like 3 minutes, maybe 4 minutes long, especially back then. You only got to tell one section. And I always felt like I had more to say. I wanted a resolution. I wanted to either tell you, that person went through heartbreak, but they're okay now. Or conversely, they met somebody new, or they're still struggling because you've only got 3 to 4 minutes. So I still play music. I'm still in a band, but writing gives me that satisfaction of being able to bring closure to a story.
So football, the American football, and songwriting, and now you as an author. So all three are three different jobs. So how you are able to do this multiple things? One
Well,
person doing different things.
yeah, well, I don't play football anymore. I'm in my 50s, but um, I enjoyed playing football so much. There was the team camaraderie aspect. Um, I don't miss being sore anymore, but I really miss the camaraderie of the guys. You know, you're in the huddle or you're playing the game and you've won and it's been a hard fought game. But I get a lot of that with playing in my band too. You're struggling with a song and you finally work it out, and then it comes to fruition and you play it, and it's like, oh, finally we got it. It's magic. That's what we've been searching for. And I guess writing is a lot like that too. Um, you're trying to work out this scene. You're trying to convey what is in here and in here and get it on the page so that somebody else can feel what you're thinking and feeling. And when you hit that magic moment, when you hit that point where you can write it out and you show it to somebody else and they're reading and you can see their eyes light up, it's like, yes, I got it. So I find the same satisfaction in all of those things.
So writing a song and writing a book, both are something which is related to communication, which is related to something that you're feeling, that you felt, or that you observed, or that is making you feel like express. So how good you are in expressing?
Well, there amongst my group of friends, they have a saying. If a new person comes into the group of friends, um, they'll say, "Don't ask Eric a question," because there's no such thing as a short answer. Um, it's kind of a pet peeve of mine, that I hate to be misunderstood. So I will make sure, and I will explain. I will ensure that people know, okay, this is exactly what I mean. I don't want you to get the wrong feeling from it. So I don't know if I'm a great communicator, but I endeavor to make sure that anybody who I'm talking to knows exactly what I'm saying.
So expressing vocally is different from expressing your view and your feeling and your story through words, through a book. So what is the response that you got when you expressed your thoughts and your inner things through that medium?
Oh, through writing?
Yes.
Yeah. Well, I was never really good in school. And I'm sure all of my teachers, all of my English teachers who, you know, taught me are rolling over in their graves thinking about the fact that I wrote a book. But I have a very loyal group of people who I'll write a few chapters and then I will send it to them. And it's like, tell me what you think. And I take their advice. So um, it's a process for sure. Um, but generally speaking, they react very positively. I'm sure for some of the people, they get the idea or they understand suddenly, oh, that's why you are like that, because you can't help but put some of your writing into, or some of your own personality into your book, um, even if it's a fiction novel. I remember watching your YouTube interview of the retired lieutenant colonel, and he was recounting his life through the forces and before the forces, and his uh, tour of duties with the American Air Force, and in surveillance and intelligence and stuff like that. And that's a lot. Just to recount your stuff, it becomes very obvious. It's like, here I am. I went here. I went here. I went here, and that's and it gives anybody who's reading the book a bird's eye view into who you are and why you are the way you are. When you write a fiction novel, your subconscious is still writing with you. And whether you like the fact or not, or whether you're trying to hide it or not, there's still a lot of you that comes out. There's still a lot of you that comes out in the book, whether you're intending it or not.
So tell me about the present book that you wrote.
Okay. This one, Mind's Eye Memories, is the first book. It happened quite by accident. I wasn't intending on writing a book. I had this idea, well, not so much an idea, but it was more of an experience that I I have these things that happen to me every once in a while. And I thought I was unique. I didn't think anybody else experienced this kind of thing. But what happened was, when I started to share the idea with people and let a couple of people read the first couple of pages, they're like, that happens to me too. I was like, oh, okay, that's I didn't know that. And it's about when you'll have a memory that'll jump back into your mind, and sometimes it's a day of the week. Sometimes it's a special day, a specific date in time. Like for me, November 9th is a very specific, special day for me. December 19th is another very special day for me. And on those days, I have images that will pop up into my head and, oh yeah, yep, that's this day and I remember that. But then it'll link to another day or another memory. And before I know it, all these little links going on in my head have created like a little movie. And I'm linked from one memory to the next to the next. So when I first started writing this, it was like, okay, I thought I was kind of unique, and I later find out actually a lot of people experience this. So I write it all out, and then I don't know, just a thought just kind of hit me. It's like, okay, well, what happens if you're having these things, these mind's eye memories, and images of somebody you don't know pop into your head? And what if they're in danger, like they're gonna die, and the images in your head are starting to give you just enough information to maybe kind of try and help and save her or him? What would you do? Would you try to help or not? So that's the um, first catastrophe, the first problem that it has to be solved in the book, and that particular thing is resolved within the first 10 chapters of the book. So you realize that it's like, okay, we're starting here, but there's many more layers and many more things that are happening, because a person who can see into the future without trying, like, he can't just, concentrate and, use whatever runes or tarot cards or anything like that, but it just all of a sudden the images pour into his head, and it's like, okay, well, you can act or not, it's up to you. And you find later on in the series of books, because I'm writing the ninth book now, the second book has been edited, I'm waiting for cover art, but it's a real journey in terms of, it's like when you find that you have a new ability and you can do something that you didn't think that you ever could before. Well, it's like, well, how does this apply to my life now? And what can I do with it? So the main character in the book is doing that, but it's more external forces that are forcing it upon him rather than his own ambition or gumption to go out and explore it.
So where this imagination is coming from?
Well, I was born in 1968, and in 1977, Star Wars came out. And it was the most fantastic expression of imagination I have ever experienced in my life. I remember I was just 9 years old when Star Wars, 9, just about 10, when Star Wars came out. And it blew my mind away to understand that, oh my gosh, this is what imagination is. I take that and I couple it with all of the stories that I used to hear around the dinner table at Christmas time or at Thanksgiving, and the two were just, brewing inside of me. I had this history of my family, of storytellers and musicians, and a lot of songs tell stories. And then I had this explosion of imagination that was presented to me, like, have you ever thought of this? And it almost seemed inevitable that I would end up, not just telling stories around a campfire, but also writing songs and singing them, and then end up writing a book.
So you have a lot of content around you. Uh, storytelling. You are listening to it, you are observing it, and you have your own thoughts about it. And can I say this ninth book of yours is the mixture of everything that you experience?
Yeah, there's so many. Well, okay, so gosh, how do I put this? I mean, it's been such a long journey going through all the 9 books because it's been a rather cathartic experience because while I'm writing all of this stuff, the your subconscious is playing with you too, and you end up writing about things that you know that are still kind of in the back of your head, and it's like I haven't resolved that. So you almost kind of put yourself on the psychiatrist's couch, and then you're examining yourself. You're the psychiatrist taking notes, but you're also on the couch telling the story to yourself. So you're kind of trying to figure yourself out. So that coupled with all the things I find interesting, you know, the thought that maybe there's aliens, maybe there isn't. I don't know, but it's interesting. I've always thought the Templar Knights were really interesting. That whole story and the story of Oak Island and how the brothers, the Lagina brothers, are trying to find the treasure of Oak Island. And I've always thought the theory of Atlantis was really interesting, and the Greek gods, the Norse gods, all those mythos are are things that are always percolating in my mind. And not trying to give away too much, but all of those things seem to find their way into the 9-book series.
So why you want to express yourself? What is the reason you want to put yourself out?
Well, hmm, that's a really good question. Um, well, I think it started with finding that I loved music. I love to play it. I love to sing songs that, are my favorite songs. And there came a time when I thought, I'm going to try to write a song. So, I wrote a few songs, and then I just kind of tucked them away, and I never shared them with anybody. And I suddenly started, it suddenly hit me. It was like, well, why am I writing songs and not showing them to anybody? What is the point? Okay, yeah, they make me feel good and stuff like that. But it's like when you come home from school and you've done your best on a report or an essay or something like that, and you want to show mom and dad, or when you suddenly you transfer between that age of being adolescent to growing into a very young adult, and your mind expands and you start to understand things better. So then you want to participate in the adults' conversations because I'm getting this now. I'm understanding. And you want to let them know, look, I can follow this conversation. I'm with you. I get it. So maybe it's a rite of passage. Maybe it's a maybe it's a flag to wave or something like that that says, I'm not who you think I am. I am a little deeper. Because it's funny because when I was sitting down with my editor, and we were talking about the second book, and massage this, change this, and it'll flow better and stuff like that. She just all of a sudden stopped and she said, "Okay, just hang on a second." And she looked at me very seriously and she said, "Don't take this the wrong way." Well, of course, that just sets you up to take it the wrong way, but I smiled and laughed. And she said, "I never knew you had this in you." And it kind of, it felt like a little pat on the back, it's like, I was able to show some people that I'm not just what I look like. I am not just this 5'8" Canadian boy who goes to work every day and does this, that, and the other thing and comes home. That there are more dimensions to me. There's more sides to me. There's more layers of an onion to me. I'm a little more complex than just this guy who can play a guitar around a campfire and go to work. And whether it was ego or not, I don't know, but it sure felt good to surprise somebody like that.
So electrician, that is completely a different job where you understand about the electricity and how the passage is happening and how to manage. Uh, it is completely a different subject. So now writing is completely a different subject again, where you have to put yourself out and you have to uh, put you have to be focused and you have to be very conscious. You have to be very you have to scan yourself in order to make uh, put exactly what you are in the book. That is when the person who is reading your book can feel what you felt.
Yeah, that's very a very good observation.
So how this two persons in you, the electrician and an author, a writer. So what when if I'm asking you to uh, say the comparison between two persons in you, a person who is doing something that is for living and something that he's passionate about. So how you mix both?
Wow, that's a very good question. Um, okay, well, at least the way my brain is wired, we'll just start with this part. Being an electrician and being a writer aren't that different. I'm taking, power from the panel in the house and I'm running a wire over here to a plug. So, but what if I was the panel and the plug is another person? That's just a line of communication. So that's how I resolve that aspect of it. But yeah, my day is full. I work hard, very busy, get home tired. But um, do you know the Bryan Adams song, "The Summer of '69," where he says, "I got my first real six string, bought it at the five and dime, played it till my fingers bled. Was the summer of '69." When I first started playing guitar, I had just started working as an electrician. And I literally, just like the song, I played it till my fingers bled because I just loved it so much. I got pulled in. There was such a release. It was almost like a way of de-stressing from the day. And my fingers were just hamburger. they were red and raw and bleeding, but I couldn't stop playing. I just loved it so much. And I used to steal every minute I could. I'd get home from work, I'd put something on to start cooking for dinner, and I'd grab my guitar. And it's like watching, looking into the kitchen. Yeah, it's still fine. I got to work this out. I got to figure this thing out. Or I'm trying to explore something else. And, I got to the point where I was fairly proficient at playing guitar and drums and keyboards and stuff like that. But now but now I'm writing, and where music used to be my happy place that I used to de-stress and express myself. That's what writing has become. It's my happy place. So I steal every minute of every day that I can. When I'm at work, like at lunchtime or at coffee break, I get on the computer and I'm tickety tick tick tick, and I'm typing and I'm back in my book and I'm weaving the story, if you will. So how do I find the time and how do I marry the two? I just beg, borrow, and steal every minute of every day that I can find to do it. Because, well, here's a for instance. I don't know what time it is what time is it where you are right now?
It's 2:45 p.m.
Okay. For me, it's 1:15 in the morning because this is the only time I could find to do this. Because I'd been writing up until this interview. And it's like, I don't care. Yeah, sure. We'll just do it at, 1:00 in the morning. Fine. That's great because I've got to have my time to write. Because once I started writing, just like when I started learning how to play guitar, I realized there was a whole bunch of stuff in me that I didn't even know was there. And now that it's finally got a doorway or an outlet to get out and be known and be heard, it's not taking no for an answer. It's coming out, and it's like, you better find time to write all this stuff down because it's coming out regardless.
So you use writing as an outlet.
Most definitely. A lot of what I'm going through or have gone through, well, a lot of the stuff that I've gone through in my life and a lot of the stuff that I'm going through in my life and a lot of the stuff that I'm looking at in the future, it's like, well, you can see that's coming. Eventually there's going to be one day when I retire. So these are all things that are churning inside me, and I can't turn it off up here. So it finds its escape into writing. And when I do that, it feels really good and I can go to sleep at night.
So what are the 8 books that you wrote? Can you name? Your microphone is
Sorry.
on mute. Yeah.
Sorry. I muted it so I could cough. The first one is called Mind's Eye Memories. The second one is called Mind's Eye Memories, Another Sight. The third one is Mind's Eye Memories, A Life Shifted. The fourth one is Mind's Eye Memories, Apocalyptic. And if I tell too many titles now, it's going to give away what's coming. But there's a couple of alien books. There's book 7 is a prequel, but you're supposed to read it 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. But book 7 takes place before book 1, so it explains all the stuff up to this book. So it gives you a bigger foundation because I'm leaping off into a crazier idea. And that's one of the things I always ask my beta readers is, have I gone off the rails here? Am I going too far out? Is this still all making sense? And so far, so good.
So Mindset Memories series. So when was your first book that published, and when you started writing, and what was your inspiration and motivation before writing it?
Well, I've heard of people taking years and years and years to write a book. And I'm almost embarrassed to say that I wrote the first book in about 3.5 months. I had got it to the end point, and I thought it was just going to be one book, and I had a few beta readers then. And I said, okay, there it is. The book's done. Have a read. Tell me what you think. And they're like, okay, so what's next? I was like, what do you mean what's next? That's the end of the story. It says so right there. And they started saying to me, it's like, well, you haven't answered this question. You haven't answered this question. You haven't answered this question. And what's going to happen with so-and-so? And I suddenly realized I might have bitten off more than I could chew. But I realized quickly, it's like, nope, there's still a lot of story in here. The motivation was what hearkening back to what we talked about earlier, was I didn't even know it was there. I was just putting down an idea or a thought that I thought was just unique to me. And then I found out actually a lot of people feel this way or experience this very same thing. So the motivation, one day it just burst out of me and I can't stop it now. I could not tell you what the motivation is, because it's something that it's like somebody reached down inside my head and turned on a tap and said, okay, this tap has been off too long. We're going to turn it on and we're going to let this water come out now, or let this flow out, because you've got a story to tell. I didn't know I had a story to tell. It's just all of a sudden it's coming out of me, and I'm just as surprised as everybody else is around me.
What is expression?
Which expression?
What is expression?
What is expression? Like, I'm not sure what you're asking.
So you are communicating from long time
Mm-hmm.
in different mediums, vocally, and your passion through books.
Yes.
So I'm sure you understood while writing something somewhere and some time in your life. So you will understand what is expression, how I'm expressing, the way I'm expressing. What is
Oh.
expression to you?
Oh, I see. Okay, thank you. um. Well, maybe I can sum it up this way. I was having a conversation with a friend just a couple of nights ago, and it was late at night, and I'm laying in bed, and I'm on the phone, and they're reading the first book, and they had some questions that had never been posed to me before. And the realization from it all was that yes, this is a fiction book. It's a sci-fi book. It's completely fiction. But what I suddenly realized is that what was true in that first book, it carried through all of the books. And it was a realization that I wasn't writing a sci-fi novel. It was almost a love story. So what is expression? What am I trying to express? What are people trying to express when they're writing or singing or whatever? I'm not sure everybody knows the answer to that question perfectly, but my realization a few nights ago was I thought I was telling a story that was unique to me at first, and then I find out, oh no, everybody has these images that pop into their head, and it strings together from memory to memory to memory to memory. That's what I thought I was doing. But then I suddenly realized that my subconscious had something to say. And really what it is the bonds of love that you make in life, whether it be with a family member, with your partner, or with the friends that get so close, they become family. You choose them to be a part of your family. That was, I guess that's what I'm trying to express. At least that's my understanding of it now so far.
So what made you to put this name, Mindside Memories?
Gosh, that's another really good. You've done your research, man. That's another really good question. When I realized I was writing a book, when I realized it's like, oh my goodness, okay, we're like, we're in at chapter 25. I realized, okay, you're writing a book. Well, you're going to have to come up with a title. And I wanted something that was quick and easy to remember, but still conveyed what the book is trying to describe. So it's a memory you're having, and a lot of those memories that you're having are in your mind's eye because you can see the image, and sometimes it plays as a really, really, really short little movie, and you can see a person turning their head and laughing as you recall the events of Christmas from 2010 or Christmas from 1970 or whatever. So just marrying the two, I guess it was just like, it's a mind's eye, it's a memory you're seeing in your mind's eye. So let's just call it Mind's Eye Memories.
So have you changed the way you're writing after getting responses from the readers of your previous books?
I like to think that I'm a little better at conveying what I'm trying to say, not being as wordy, but my editor, she's a gal who is a speed reader and literally reads, like 1,000 books every year. She blew through my first book in like 3 hours. It was like done. Cover to cover, done. And through her coaching and stuff like that, I've refined it a little bit, but one thing that she's told me, because she's read all these books, is that I have a very unique way of telling a story. And when I was little, being unique wasn't fun. When you're little and even when you're an adult, you just want to fit in. You just want to be one of the crowd and accepted for who you are. But I quickly learned that, being unique isn't so bad. And it actually is, it's really cool a lot of the time to be unique and wear it proudly.
So what is the special thing that you have while expressing through your book that you don't see in other writers or in other books that are already published in the market?
Man, you ask good questions. Oh, man, I don't know if I'm that unique. Gosh, it might be just the simple fact that I don't know, that I'm just not smart enough to understand what the author of another book is trying to say. But, for instance, like the movie Titanic, where Leonardo DiCaprio and Kate Winslet, there's this love story and all that stuff that might have happened on the Titanic, might not have. Nobody really knows. But the way James Cameron portrayed the movie, he used that vehicle, that love story vehicle, to tell the story of the Titanic. There's a lot of people that would not sit through 2.5 hours of a documentary about the Titanic. They just wouldn't. But there's a lot of people who love a good love story. And, you know, a lot of people love that movie. A lot of people hated that movie for that very same reason. I looked at it as, you know what? There's a lot of people that never would have learned about the Titanic and what happened unless there was that love story to draw them in and teach them about it. You know, and it became the vehicle. The love story became the vehicle to tell them about the story of the Titanic. And hearkening back again to that conversation I had with my friend a few days ago when I was laying in bed and I'm just exhausted after writing. You know, you're laying there and you've got the phone sitting on the side of your face. That I haven't run across many books. And you know what? In a week, I might totally redact this and say, oh yes, there is another book like I write. But right now, it's not coming to mind where, you know, you're telling a story, here's the book. And most of the time, it's just like, this is the story, this is the book, front to back. Every once in a while, you'll get another layer under that story. That this is the foundation that this story is built on. None are coming to mind right now, though. But what I realized when I was talking to my friend a few days ago was that I'm writing a sci-fi book. It's about this guy who gets these images in his head, and then he realizes he's part of a government cover-up, and it's a secret society, and oh my gosh, there's aliens and all this stuff. But what the book is really talking about is the commitment of one person to another. Whether it's, hey, can you lend me $5? Or you see that a bus is going to hit them, so you push them out of the way and you take the bus so they don't have to. And everything in between, that commitment, that love that you share, whether it be a brotherly love, a romantic love, a commitment, a family type thing. And I guess it was super surprising to me that my subconscious had decided to write about this while I was telling this other story. And I haven't seen that in, you know, and I know there's going to be a whole bunch of comments on your YouTube channel about this, and they're going to be citing all these other books that, yeah, it happens here and it happens in this one, but I just don't know any off the top of my head. So I guess the way maybe my subconscious was trying to tell me, okay, you tell that story. You know, you tell your science fiction story, but this is the story you really want to tell. You know, maybe in a month, if we talk again in a month, I'll feel completely different about this, but that's my understanding of it at this moment.
So, are you the same person while writing Mindside Memories when compared to the person who is communicating and expressing himself as an electrician, as a father, or as a songwriter? Are you the same person?
Man, you got good questions. You are very intuitive, very intuitive. A few people at where I work have bought my book. My sister has read my book, and they've all come back to me. Hang on a second. They've all come back to me at one point or another and said, I don't know how many times I've tried to start to read this book. I'll get about 5 chapters in, and all I can hear is your voice, because you write exactly as you speak. You tell a story, you know, around a campfire like this, or over Skype, or when you're writing. It's the same. And my sister had to do a very, very conscious effort to, okay, this is my little brother. going to put him over here, and I'm just going to pretend that he doesn't exist so I can get through this book without listening to him every page. So I think that tells me that I'm the same electrician, the same songwriter, the same author, whether it doesn't matter what medium it's in, that's just me.
So you have your regular readers. So what do they say about your expression? Because you already have expressed yourself through 8 books already. So what they felt, what you made them feel, and what they actually liked in you without seeing you physically, only through your book.
Mackerel. You are a very good interviewer. These are really thought-provoking, good questions. The very first person I shared my book with is a gal named Amy, and she lives a couple thousand miles away. And I don't know her really well. I remember her. We had talked a few times in person, but she moved away. And now we're just friends on Facebook. So when I put the call out on Facebook, hey, I've written some stuff. Does anybody want to read this? She was the first one. So I shared it with her. And now my editor said I didn't know you had it in you. Amy was a little more gentle. She was like, "Wow, this is great. This is unreal. I didn't, this is a great story. Blah blah blah." Going down the line through my friends and people who and other people who read it. I have a husband and wife who are my friends, and it's her father who said, "Yeah, give it to me. I'd like to read it." And by the end of the second book or the beginning of the third book, he said, "You need to get an agent, and you need to shop this to the Sci-Fi Channel and Netflix because they can make this into a series, and you should be doing that." Not all of the responses have been super positive. They've been, it's one of the things that I ask anybody who's going to do a beta reading for me is, okay, tell me what you have to tell me. But what I'm really listening for is your insights to help me grow. Don't just tell me how great I am, blah blah blah, because what's the point in that? I want to become better, so you got to give me some critiques. Tell me where I'm messing up and suggest things that can make me better. Because if I'm not getting better, I'm just stagnant, and as far as I can see by the current climate in the planet, the human race needs to get better. So I want to be a part of that. Somehow, some way, I've got to get a little bit better. And if I get a little bit better in my writing, maybe I can get a little bit better at understanding people too.
Have you able to be yourself while you are expressing yourself through Mindside Memories? After putting it out, after publishing it out, after listening to the responses of the people, after have you changed yourself while expressing uh, um, after they influencing you with their feedback?
Boy, okay, that's like the fifth great question in a row. I have a hard time with having the spotlight on me. being that center stage and the spotlight's on you and it's like everybody's looking at you and you're like, oh God, I don't know what to do. I'd much rather be the person in behind, and just supporting somebody else. But writing a book like this, it forces you out. It's like, oh boy, this came out of your brain. So I'm going to learn a lot about you when I read this book. And yeah, it's changed me a little bit. It's changed me in the fact that, it's taught me to grow up a little bit. It's like, okay, you just have to accept the fact that, people have read the book and now they know you a little better and they're going to want to talk about it. And maybe they're going to ask some semi-personal questions and and sometimes they're going to be patting you on the back saying, oh boy, that was great. That was great. And I get bashful. I get shy when people tell me that, oh, you did that great. I really loved it. What you shared and blah, blah. And I'm just like, oh my gosh, can we talk about something else? Please, let's just shift the conversation. It was really bad when I was little. I'm 53 now, and I still kind of struggle with it. But I'm getting a little bit better every day. Yeah, so I when you put yourself out there like that in such a raw way, for instance, like playing guitar in a band and you're singing a song you wrote and you're in a pub and there's a couple hundred people there, or you're in an auditorium and there's a couple of thousand people there, and you're playing a song you wrote, and you know exactly what that song is about, and you've tried to hide it a little bit. You're trying to be a little cryptic. You don't want to just say bald-faced, this was me and this is what happened and I felt like this. You're just trying to sing a song about a story about someone. You get over the stage fright because eventually the need to tell the story overcomes your fear. And I've had to really, lean back on my experiences about playing live in a band and singing a song that I've wrote about something that's very personal, to be able to write the book and put it out there, because I know people are going to get if they know me a little bit, they'll understand this much later because of how I've written and what I've written about. They'll be able to point to a part in the book and go, I know what this is about. I remember. But again, hearkening back to like, why did I start writing? It just started to flood out of me. There was no choice. It was coming out. So it's like, okay, put it down and I guess we'll just hope for the best,
So you expressing yourself from the first book. So I'm sure in this ninth book, the way you are expressing is not the same way of expressing that you did when you was writing your first book. So what is the difference that you are observing as a impact creator, as a person who is very good in understanding the vocabulary, creating sentences, creating a paragraph, telling a story as a storyteller, without showing your physical presence, being physically present. You are trying to create an impact just by making them take into a world where there was not. You are creating an imagination just with the words that you have in your collection.
Okay, that's number 6. Good question. My basic style of telling a story hasn't changed. The verbiage I use has changed a little bit. But knowing that, and again, this was a huge moment for me. It was a huge moment for me when I suddenly realized I'm not writing a science fiction novel. I'm writing a story about what love means to me and what true commitment means to me. And so, and that happened at about page 20 of the book I'm writing now. And I know it's influencing where I'm going. I'm on page almost 60 now of book 9. And I can see it influencing. It's like, okay, I understand there's this subplot. I understand there's this other level going on now. Suddenly it's there. And it's been there the whole time. I was just too blind to see it. I just wasn't ready, or I wasn't mature enough, or whatever. But so that is affecting the way which word I will choose in a specific part of a sentence, instead of saying a black and white word. Okay, meaning like it's bad or it's good. You know, those are black and white words. It's like that's bad and that's good. There is no wiggle room. But if you say something is it's in between, it's like, well, it's good for these situations. So it's useful. Well, useful implies good, but it doesn't imply good all the time. It's useful for this. So I see the words I'm choosing. I mean, my writing style is still the same, but the words I'm choosing to describe certain things at certain times are much more thought out, instead of just get it down on the page, because this is what I think. But now, because I realize what I'm actually writing about, it's more like, wait a second, there's a better word for this. So I'll type out the word that's in my head, and I'll look up synonyms for it. And it's like, no, this one's better. This one, like this one word that I chose only has basically one meaning. It means this. I'll check the synonyms, and it's like, no, this one is better, because it either describes a deeper darkness or a much purer light. So instead of just saying bad, you can say deceitful, corrupted, and it embodies much more feeling in the word. Or, you can say good, or you can say pure, without guile, um, angelic, and it makes, between good and bad, there's a chasm. But as soon as you started using these other words, that chasm gets bigger. And then there's all those words in between good and bad that, you want to tippy toe right on the line, and just let the reader decide, what do you think? Is it good or bad? So I'm playing with that a lot more. I'm playing with that idea a lot more now that I'm aware of, that I'm writing a book about what I think is what love is.
So, which age group and what kind of mindset people are connecting with Mindsight Memories series?
Seven. Seven good questions. Well, being that I use a fair bit of swear words, there's a fair bit of words that are not what you want your 13-year-old to be saying around the house, even though they probably already learned it at school. It's definitely for an adult audience. Yeah, it would have to be an adult audience, just because some of the subject matter, like I hint at sex happening, but I don't describe it. It's not an erotic novel. There's nothing erotic in any of the books. It will hint at it and just let your brain fill in the blanks. Much like Alfred Hitchcock's movie, Psycho, where Janet Leigh is in the shower and she's having her shower, and you see the shadow on the shower curtain, and she screams, and you see the guy raise the knife, and you see the knife go through the shower curtain, but you don't actually see him stabbing her, and then all you see is blood going down the drain, and that's it. And Alfred Hitchcock makes you fill in the blanks. That's what I do. It's just like they kissed and they went to bed. But there is a fair bit of swearing. There's a fair bit of violence that happens. I wouldn't say it's. I did not sit long in description of any gory violence. It's just like, okay, this guy got hit over the head and he's out cold or whatever. But yeah, it's definitely for a mature audience.
So in your 53 years of life on this planet, you expressed yourself through in different mediums, mainly writing. So if you ask yourself a question, so as an influencer, as a person who is communicating with the world, so how much difference that you created, how things are changed because of your presence, or because of your communication, or because of the vocabulary that you have used in your collection. So what effect that you created, what are the things, that major things that changed because of your impactful sounds?
Okay, nine good questions. I don't know if anything has changed. I know that I'm much more conscious of, because I wrote in disguise. I wrote about a lot of personal experiences there, and I finally laid bare some of the raw feelings that I had in my heart over a few of the things that has happened through my life. And it sure made me much more cognizant of how it made me feel. And that made me a lot more cognizant of how I could potentially make other people feel. I could make them feel that bad, or I could make them feel that good. And then the other couple of nights ago, that all this whole book series is what I think love really is, or what I hope it is, or what I hope to find one day. So I don't know. I definitely haven't seen a cultural impact, but I know within my group of friends, within the friends that I call family, yeah, every single one of them know that if they call me and they need me, I'm there. And I know that of them. I know that if I phoned up and I said, all hell's breaking loose, I need you right now, that each and every one of them would drop what they're doing and they would come to my aid, just like I would to them. So I guess it's think locally and act, or no, think globally and act locally. You're hoping that this kind of idea spreads, but all you can do is just affect change in your circle of friends, your realm, the people that you touch every day.
So like you said before, that some people have shocked by seeing you saying something that they didn't imagine or didn't expect it from you. So are you scared of saying something that they don't expect from you? Right? Are you feel because you already uh, have expressed yourself through 8 books already. You are out already. There are people who are following, who are watching you, who are ready to see what you are telling. So are you scared of putting something that you are not before? Because that's a big challenge. To be raw, to be authentic, to say what exactly you feel.
You hearkened on how my parents raised me. Now, I'm the youngest of 6 kids, and you know, I'm I'm sure everybody is familiar with the term alpha personality, a beta personality. There's the alpha wolf in the pack, and he's the leader, and then there's the alpha female, and they're the leaders of the pack, and then there's betas and omegas and stuff like that follow down. My mom and dad taught all of us kids to have an alpha personality, to think for yourself. And you know what? If you think something and you can back it up, say it. And you know what? If somebody corrects you, then be big enough to go, you know what? I was wrong, but I agree with you and I'm changing. I have to tell you, when the editor stopped in the middle of going through book 2 with me, and she said, I didn't know all of this was in you. I had a smile on my face. I love surprising people like that. I love surprising people that, you did what? Really? Yeah. I get a little grin. The one side of my cheek curls up in a smile, and it's like, I love being underestimated. I loved it when I was playing football. Um, I'm this guy that's too short to play, but you know what? I just made you look silly, on the football field. So I really love being underestimated like that, and I love surprising people in that way.
So it's really tough job what you're doing. Telling something that you feel without showing yourself physically, just trying to show it through your book and creating impact and getting responses for that, and being authentic uh, without being present physically. That's a very tough job for technologists, for people who are not doing that what you're doing. So there, I have people who are into all professions for following and who are already on my show. So that your work and your talent and your skill will surprise them for sure. And I want you to write what you feel like you're doing already. So I want you to continue doing what you're doing. So I'm sure in coming days, more stories of yours will affect people in a positive way. They create some positive
We're
impact,
hoping.
and they help in their growth or changing themselves. So at last, what do you say about your work to my audience?
What would be the last thing I would say?
Yeah.
Well, big shout out to first you. Thank you so much for your time, sir. This has been incredibly enjoyable. I mean, it's almost 2 o'clock in the morning here, but I don't feel tired. This has been great. Your ability to ask thoughtful and smart questions. Oh, wait a second. You're Smart Cherry, right? Yeah. Okay, now I know how you got your name. Um, Smart, thoughtful questions, and that demand a response, and it really provokes the person to, yeah, okay, I got something to say about that. Excellent, excellent, excellent talking with you. Um, I know you know A.K. William from the Writers Circle. Big shout out to the Writers Circle. We've had amazing support from each other. encouraging each other in our writing there on Twitter. It's just a great group of people. I look forward to meeting with them every night. And a big shout out to my beta readers, which are listed here. Hang on. I can't miss one, because if I do, I'll never hear the end of it. Mark Nelson, Amy Verge, Russ Costin, and Lauren Godden. They, if they didn't give me the inspiration and the encouragement, that book never would have been written, and nothing else would have been written either. And I wouldn't have had this immense pleasure to meet you.
And that picture is amazing. The eye, so which you printed on your own book. So what is the story behind it?
Well, it's Mind's Eye Memories is the name of the book, right? So I had the idea, well, okay, let's just use an eyeball. It's an eyeball. But you can see there's some things going on in the eye. There's some reflections happening. And my son, Daniel Antonsen, is an amazing artist. He's an amazing artist. And that is a picture of my left eye early one Saturday morning. And he got the reflection of the living room window with the telephone lines outside, and there's a bird landing, and it was just an off the cuff, hey, let's try this. So take a picture of my eye. And he painted it, and as soon as I saw it, it was like, I love it. That's going to be the cover of my book.
So your picture, the cover picture shows the story of your book.
Yeah, it worked out that way. It was never planned that way, but again, I never planned on writing a book, but here we are. So it's kind of like you're dovetailing or putting your hands together. It looks chaotic at the beginning, but oh my goodness, it fit perfectly. And the way this has come together has just been like that the whole time. It seems like I get an idea, we get another idea, and it looks like they're going to collide. It looks like they're going to make a mess, but they end up dovetailing and just fitting together perfectly, like that picture on this cover and how it fits in with the story.
So I'll put your book links in the description of this video. People who finds our video on YouTube can see your work and can read what you're saying.
Thank you very, very, very much.
So can everybody in every country can get your book?
Yes, it's on Amazon. And if you've got a computer and you can order a book off of Amazon, you can get it. It's free if you have Kindle Unlimited.
Okay. So I want you to continue writing even the music also.
We're going to have band practice next week.
So I want you to continue what you are, the full-time job as an electrician, as a great father. I want you to be inspiring for everybody, like, putting yourself out, not restricting yourself, putting exactly what you are through your medium. I want you to reach more people in the world, and I'm sure you'll do this until you be alive on this planet.
I'm gonna do my best. I've just got to be me, and I always have to just be the best me I can be. So fingers crossed, I hope we make an impact together.
So can I put this video on my YouTube channel with your permission?
Please do. But you owe me the link. I've got to have the link so I can send it to all my beta readers, okay?
Yeah, I will send you. Can I also put on my this video and audio clip on my podcast website, internet,
Yes,
social media, everywhere with your permission?
every single platform that you've got, you have permission to put it on.
So thank you very much. So keep going and keep doing and keep putting yourself out like this and make people to think like we are also people who can put ourselves like Eric.
Thank you, sir. I appreciate your time tonight. Or
Take care.
today for you, tonight for me.
Yeah. Good night. Sleep well.